Welcome to Payoff Pitch Live, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Mike Calabrese, joined today by Sean Zerillo to take a quick look at the slate in the bigs here on Monday. Actually, not that quick. Sean is going to touch over half of the games here on Monday. We also have Grant Neiffer coming in at the end of the episode to give us his home run props for today. But let's start, Sean, with the Aaron Judge news. He avoids the really bad injury news. He's going to land on the IL for a minimum of 10 days. How do you think this impacts the futures market for AL MVP? Should you be rushing to the window to play him at nearly even money, or do you think there's a chance that Big Dumper is going to make a move here in the market in the next 10 days?
Yeah, I thought the market move right after the injury announcement when they said they were flying in a specialist to come see him was fascinating. Looking at the prediction markets offshore, because a lot of domestic markets just pulled their odds down. They didn't want to deal with it, but the prediction markets stay up. And Raleigh moved to, I believe, like a 50% or 60% favorite, 65% favorite. Came back down a little bit, but I'm looking around the betting market right now. I still see him at minus 165 at one book, minus 110 at another. So there's odds all over the place on Raleigh right now. Judge, though, between even money and minus 118 at those same two books. So they're making you lay a little bit extra juice, paying a little extra tax on Cal Raleigh right now, but not giving you a little bit extra if you want to bet Judge. Yeah, I think if you want to bet Judge, I would wait, 7 days or so, see how that injury looks like it's developing, see how it looks like he's healing, because I doubt that those odds are going to get much better than even money or, anything like that at this point. Raleigh is the one who, if you want him, I would probably bet it now because he has a week, 10 days to put up a little bit more stats and close the gap on Judge relative to their respective war. Don't overlook Tarek Skubal though either. If the Tigers end up, coming back, getting the one seed, Skubal continues to win like 80% of his starts. I think there's a legitimate argument for Tarek Skubal. Not sure how close he is to winning the pitching triple crown, but in the American League, he has kind of separated himself from the rest of the competition. It seems like the other guys who are contending for AL Cy Young have fallen back, other than Crochet, and Skubal's really pulled ahead. Skubal, Crochet, DeGrom, really the only three remaining. Hunter Brown got hit a little bit, but I think more interesting is probably the make or miss playoff market. If you're going to take a shot against the Yankees, it should be right now. We'll get to the Yankees in a second and what their offense should look like without Judge, but it looks like with the Rangers coming back into the mix now, it looks like one of the Yankees or the Astros could end up missing the playoffs because now there's 7 teams, I believe, in the American League who are all at 56 wins or better. They're all within like a win or 2 wins of each other. So if you're interested in missing a team missing the playoffs right now, Yankees and Astros are both super, super banged up. The Yankees pitching was the issue earlier in the year. Now, obviously, Judge going on the IL, but the Astros have basically like an entire starting lineup and rotation and bullpen on the IL currently. And with Texas coming back and getting tied with the Mariners now and being close and in the wild card race, I think they're tied for wild card positioning. I do think one of the Astros or Yankees are going to get squeezed out. So that's probably the market I'm most interested in right now, given the Judge news, is one of the Yankees or Astros to miss the playoffs.
All right, let's hop into your best bet here for Monday. Seattle traveling to West Sacramento to take on the A's. You like the over, whether it's 9.5 or 10. You can talk about pricing in just a moment. JP Sears has an ERA of 2.8 on May 10th. When you go back in the Wayback Machine, he was pitching well. It looks pretty good. That has ballooned to 4.98 in the past 10 weeks, and a big reason for that has been the long ball. In his last 13 starts, he's given up 17 home runs. He's struggled with command, and everyone is teeing off on his full pitch mix, save for his sweeper. Now, Seattle is in the thick of the wild card race. You just mentioned it. So many quality teams there in the AL within a game or two of each other. They really need to come alive at the dish. In the past week, they've been held to 2 runs or fewer 5 times. So, how much of this over is predicated on the park factor, the pitching matchup, and the ideal weather I hadn't mentioned yet? It's going to be hot, and the wind is going to be blowing out straight to center in this matchup between the M's and the A's.
Yeah. So when we came into the year, we didn't think that Sutter Health Park was going to be as wind receptive as it has been. It's actually been extremely receptive to wind, whether it's blowing out or in. We thought that the park in Tampa Bay, Steinbrenner Field, was going to be a little bit more wind impacted because there's even less structural shielding there. It's right on the water. But it turns out that Sacramento has been very receptive to wind as well. And as you mentioned, there are 7, 8 mile an hour winds blowing out in Sacramento today. So certainly boost the run scoring environment. Seattle, even though they've struggled over the past week, this is the number one road offense in baseball. I normally don't care very much about home road splits for offenses for a lot of reasons. I think there can be a lot of noise in those samples, but the Mariners, who play in one of the most difficult parks to hit at, the batter's eye just increases strikeout rate. T-Mobile is a disaster for hitters. Maybe they've fixed some things there this year, but typically the Mariners rank closer to league average on the road and bottom 10, league average at best at home. This year they are a top 10 offense at home and the number one road offense in MLB. So I think it just speaks to their overall offensive quality as a team. It is part of the reason why I like them from a futures perspective still. I do not think they have played their best baseball yet, and I still think they're going to be aggressive at the deadline even after getting nailers. So in general, I like this Mariners team quite a bit. I think their offense is a pretty high floor with those top six hitters on any given night. The A's also, without Denzel Clark in their lineup, because Clark currently on the IL, they are a terrible defensive team. They're an above average team with Clark in there because he's so superhuman on his own. But on the year, the A's are 24th in defensive runs saved, 26 and outs above average. And if you remove Denzel Clark's numbers, because I think he's like +9 defensive runs saved and +12 OAA in a very limited sample, because Denzel Clark's ridiculous. If you remove him, they fall to 26 in DRS and 30th at OAA. So this is one of the worst defensive teams of baseball. The Mariners should be able to get runs here tonight. And also the bullpens for both teams. I think the Mariners need to go out and get bullpen help. Obviously, Munoz is great. They have Brash, who's really electric, does walk some guys. But over the last 30 days, Mariners 23rd in expected FIP, 19th in strikeout minus walk. The A's about 25th, 26th over the same span in those metrics. So do not love the bullpens. Do love the park. This has been the second best park for run scoring on the season, boosting runs by about 21%. And generally speaking, anytime we've seen an over 9.5 in this park, it does end up closing at 10. So I took the over 9.5. I make it about 10.6. I take it up to 10 at -112. I think I saw the market starting to get there, but you can definitely still get in below that price point right now. So my favorite bet for today, just knowing this total will close at 10, A's and Mariners over 9.5 up to 10 at -110.
From your favorite bet to your favorite underdog, you like the Reds at home at close to +145 against the Dodgers. An interesting spot to fade Yamamoto. 4 of his last 5 starts have been dominant, although his pitch count is down. So I imagine that you're hoping that the Reds get into the bullpen within a run or two of the Dodgers, because really, for LA, that's been their only Achilles heel this season. You can point to that consistently as the only thing they're not dominant in terms of their statistical profile this season. Additionally, Chase Burns is on the bump for the Reds. And it looks like maybe he's putting it together. He's cutting down on his walks a little bit. Certainly, the strikeout artist potential is there. He's someone who can go for double-digit Ks. Walk me through exactly why you like the Reds here as a home underdog.
Yeah, you're going to need this one to come back up to +140 to bet it, just because I projected it at +130. I think I saw best was +136 this morning. So a little bit of CLV. Here's, though, why I like Burns against the Dodgers. He won't be afraid of them. This is not a guy who's going to come in and nibble and try to get them to swing at stuff outside of the zone. Chase Burns throws the ball in the zone a ton, over 50% of the time. So he's just challenging hitters in the zone, seeing if they will swing and miss. He's still young. He's still green. He's going to have command issues at times, but he is intentionally trying to throw the ball in the zone. A lot of fastballs, getting a lot of whiffs on them. The problem is when he does not get the whiffs, he has a very high hard hit rate, a 50% hard hit rate, which he also carried in AAA and AA as well. I'll get to another pitcher in a little bit who does not strike out guys at nearly the same clip, but carries a hard hit rate closer to 30%. It's just a very different statistical profile. So Burns has about a 25% strikeout minus walk rate and that 50% hard hit rate. Yamamoto is closer to 20% on the strikeout minus walk, but his hard hit rate is 40%. So Yamamoto, a lot more weak contact, a lot more BABIP suppression, less likely to give up home runs at Great American Ballpark than Chase Burns in. So you can see why the Dodgers, should be able to hit home runs off of Burns, should be able to just hit the ball harder in general tonight. But I do think Burns is going to give himself the best chance and give the Reds the best chance by keeping the ball in the zone, because the Dodgers score runs by working pitchers and working counts and walking and getting guys on base and then getting the big hit once they already have dudes on base. If he can just keep the ball in the zone and force them to hit a bunch of solo home runs against them, I think he gives the Reds a good chance tonight. as you mentioned, the Dodgers bullpen an absolute disaster. Last 30 days, 28th in expected FIP, 30th, 21st in strikeout minus walk. So a bottom 10 bullpen over the past 30 days. An entire rotation and bullpen on the injured list. Lost Tanner Scott over the past week as well, adding that to Gratterall and Kopech and Snell, Sasaki, like Gonsolin, all the other dudes they've lost this year. So yeah, Dodgers pitching depth is a significant concern. And frankly, with Mookie looking like a reduced version of himself, I'm starting to get a little bit interested in betting a team in the National League. I was like taking the stance of betting teams to win the AL pennant, avoiding NL futures. I'm coming around on picking the Mets or the Cubs in the National League. I don't think the Cubs have quite enough pitching. I'm not sure if the Mets kids are going to be ready for the postseason. We'll see if Jonah Tong ends up coming up, Chet Williams, if he ends up being in the mix at all. But, Ronnie Mauricio having a 4 for 4 game last night. Alvarez has been smoking the ball over the past week. Like, it's tough for me because I'm a Mets fan, so I'm trying not to be a homer about it. But I look at this team and I see all of the untapped potential and untapped upside with these position players. And I see the Dodgers' injury issues and the fact that Mookie is a step slower than he was last year. And I'm like, the Mets may have a higher ceiling come playoff time than the Dodgers do. And I'm trying to figure out if I feel like any of the other NL teams do or are in that category as well. But, in terms of pure ceiling, I feel like the Mets may have the highest upside in the National League. So with the Dodgers struggling, coming into this series with the Reds in playoff positioning, maybe the Dodgers just continue to fall a little bit more off the pace and risk getting that first round bye. Seeing the Dodgers in a wild card series would be very funny, and seeing like the Mets and the Brewers or the Mets and the Cubs getting first round byes would be, equally comical considering our stance on all these teams coming into the year.
Before we get to Grant's Dinger card, we have six more games to go through on yours, and it's going to start with a parlay. Giants minus 120 and under 8 against the Pirates. Giants are 3 games out of the wild card, but this lineup is just killing them. It's been boomer bust in the second half for them, mainly bust. You have to figure you're going to get 5 or 6 innings of premium pitching from Mitch Keller, but the mystery here is Carson Whisenhunt. Tell me what you see in him and why you like the Giants as a short favorite.
Yeah, 80 grade changeup for Whisenhunt. So he has a plus plus pitch, kind of like a left-handed Shane Smith, I think is a good comparison to make because command, fastball, slider, all fine, average, but the changeup is going to be the carrying pitch. And if that thing is working, he should be a league average pitcher right away. Fit projections have him between 4.1 and 4.4. And the Pittsburgh offense is particularly bad against left-handed pitching as well. So you couldn't ask really for a softer landing spot in your major league debut than pitching at home in Oracle Park against an offense that cannot hit left-handed pitching. Pirates 29th against lefties this year, 68 WRC plus, 75 and 27th over the past 30 days. And the last 2 weeks, they're running a 45 WRC plus against southpaw pitching. So I do not like the Pirates offense in general. I really do not like them against lefties. Giants offense been a little bit better of late, ranking closer to 18th. They're about 18th since the Devers trade as well. This could be Mitch Keller's final start as a Pirate too. Mitch Keller, Edward Cabrera, a couple guys going today. This is the day of dudes who could be making their final start with the team, and dudes. I think we have three of the four highest ground ball rates in baseball on the mound today as well. Those two things stood out to me. But yeah, Giants coming off of that Sunday night game, they did throw a bullpen game last night, so I was a little concerned about their bullpen usage potentially behind Whisenhunt. Rodriguez has worked back-to-back days. Other than that, they should mostly be good to go tonight. So normally I'd project a bigger pen edge between these teams. Not as big tonight, but I still make the Giants about minus 150, and I made the total about 7.2. So the Giants to minus 135, the under 7.5 to minus 105. And I think you can still get some under eights out there right now. So yeah, Giants and under for me in that catch-up.
You mentioned the Yankees being banged up, and that's why you're targeting an under here against the Rays, sitting at eight and
Yep.
a half. It's going to be a furnace tonight in the Bronx, but the wind is pushing in, and young Cam Schlittler he's just been powering fastballs past everybody through 2 career starts. Any concern with him relying too much on that 98-mile-an-hour heater, or do you think the Rays are ill-equipped to sit on that pitch?
No, it's pretty electric. And when you throw that hard and when you have stuff as good as he has, 108 stuff plus, 3.6 body array, you can live in the zone and avoid hard contact. Schlittler is the guy I alluded to when I was talking about Burns, like aggressively attacking hitters and getting away with it. For whatever reason, Schlittler takes a very similar approach, but only has a 30% hard hit rate. And you look back to his AA, AAA stats, like Burns carried that 50% hard hit rate through the high minors into the majors. Schlittler has carried a low hard hit rate through the high minors into the majors. Now, Schlittler doesn't have as good of command, I think, even as Burns does. I think Burns has slightly better command. Schlittler's probably going to run a walk rate in the double digits. That's where Burns is right now. They're both around 10%, 11%. So I think Burns is a higher ceiling. Schlittler's a little bit older. But potentially just like a very effective starter considering the quality of offense he's going to face because the Rays have also been ice cold. 22nd over the past month, 21st over the past 14 days, 20th over the last week. They've considered trading dudes because their offense has completely fallen off a cliff, but also it's not a powerful offense that you have to worry about turning you around. It's Chandler Simpson and dudes running the bases and putting the ball in play. This is not like a high-powered offense that you're worried about potentially taking advantage of the short porch in the Bronx. Now, to the point about the Yankees and what they may look like without Aaron Judge, they lost Judge for pretty significant stretches 2 years ago. Granted, a different offensive group, but that was a team that ranked with Judge as a top 10 offense during the season. Without Judge, over two different stretches, they lost Judge from April 27th to May 9th. They were 28th in WRC plus over that span. Then they lost them again from June 3rd to July 28th, bigger stretch. They were 27th in WRC plus over that span. So 28th and 27th, respectively, 2 years ago over very long stretches, month plus long stretches without Aaron Judge. I do think he is a hugely important piece to their offense. There's actually studies showing that like lineup protection and things like that are irrelevant. But when you take the MVP out of the lineup, when you take the guy who's having the greatest statistical peak, maybe ever, out of the Yankees lineup, it's hard to imagine that they can still maintain and be above a top 10 offense, even with Stanton coming back. So, yeah, I think the Yankees are about to take a big hit here over the next 10 days or so. 10 days or so. Even over the past month. I mean, the Yankees have been, I think, a bottom 10 offense over the past month, even before this Judge injury. They were starting to heat up a little bit in the past week or so, but yeah, there's some significant concerns. And then, just regarding the weather, Rasmussen, Schlittler, two higher strikeout pitchers. So two guys I'm a little bit less worried about allowing the ball to be in play in general. So at least over the first 5 innings, you should get enough strikeouts that you're not too concerned with the weather.
Looking for an over here, 8.5 between the Phillies and the White Sox. The once puttering Phillies offense is now dialed in, scored 32 runs across their last 4 games. Davis Martin on the bump for the White Sox. And for all the good that he's done this year, he's struggling a bit with his commands and the long ball as of late. And you must love the Phillies lineup to do damage because on the other side, Sanchez is coming in and he's been putting on a master class going on 6 weeks now. No one is hitting him hard. His strikeout rate is on the rise thanks to his 12K outing against the Red Sox last week. How many runs do you think you need out of the Phillies to push this over the 8.5?
Not as many as you'd think, because the White Sox over the past 30 days are the number one offense in baseball against left-handed pitching. I have been betting the White Sox pretty consistently against left-handed pitching. Now, granted, they have beaten up some bad lefties over that span, Falter, Heaney, but this team just projects better in general against left-handed pitching. With Robert and Vargas, they have other right-handed bats in there that all project to have better splits against southpaw pitching. So the White Sox offensive splits gives me some confidence that they can get some runs across against Sanchez, despite how good he has been. Over the past 14 days, a 214 WRC plus for the White Sox offense against left-handed pitching, a 1139 OPS over that span. So I'm hoping they can get some runs. Yeah, Davis Martin, a replacement level arm for me. But moreover, it's the defense and the bullpen quality that make me like the over here. I make this about 9.2. It has gone down from 8.5 to 8. I still like the 8.5 to minus 115. The White Sox are 25th. The Phillies are 27th in defensive runs saved. Phillies a little bit better in OAA, but the White Sox are 25th in OAA. And then the bullpens. The Phillies bullpen's been a little bit better of late, but on the year, 18th in expected FIP, 13th in strikeout minus walk. White Sox pretty firmly a bottom three bullpen throughout the entire season. So really the one piece you're worried about here is Sanchez potentially shutting down the White Sox for the entire time he's out there, shutting them down for 5, 6, 7 innings. I think this is as good of a matchup as not as good of a matchup as the White Sox could have, but the White Sox being in their much better split offensively kind of takes that concern away for me. So over 8.5 to minus 115 between the Phils and White Sox. This is one of my bigger projected edges for the day mathematically. Just obviously Sanchez, a guy I'm always betting on the money line or betting his unders. So a little bit scary from that perspective, but definitely have to rely on the splits here.
Marlins, Cardinals under 8.5. Let's start with the good here. Edward Cabrera's career year continues for the Fish.
Mhm.
He's got a 3.1 strikeout to walk rate. His slider and curve have been virtually unhittable for the entire season. The question, though, is the Miami bullpen. They're right around MLB average. You're banking on them holding things down. And then on the other side, a bounce back from Andre Palante. He's been getting whacked around lately. That's why this gives me pause going for an under here. He's given up 17 runs in his last three starts. Do you see him having any more success against a Marlins lineup that continues to overachieve this year, particularly from a team batting average perspective?
Yeah, Palante is very Jekyll and Hyde because it comes down to whether he gets the double plays or not. His whip is too high. He has a below league average strikeout minus walk rate, so he gives up a lot of walks, does not strike anybody out. And if he gets the double plays, his night goes okay. If he doesn't, he probably gives up 4 or 5 runs. It's also going to be hot in St. Louis tonight. I think temperatures on field are going to be north of 100 degrees, but both Palante and Edward Cabrera keep the ball on the ground. I said this was the day of the high ground ball rate, guys. Palante second in baseball with about a 62% ground ball rate, only behind Jose Soriano. Framber Valdez starting today. Christopher Sanchez starting today. Palante, Framber, Sanchez, 2, 3, 4 in ground ball rate amongst qualified starters. Yamamoto is seventh. So all the ground ball guys going today. Maybe betting a under Grand Salami on total home runs for today. I don't know if you could bet specifically home runs as opposed to runs, but yeah, I think under home runs could be the move today, considering all these ground ball dudes on the mound. This could be Edward Cabrera's last start in a Marlins uniform. He's under control through 2028, but there's been a lot of rumors about the Marlins potentially dealing Cabrera, maybe just trying to capitalize on his career year, saying they don't believe that the command will necessarily stick because he has shaved about 4% off of his walk rate this season, down from 12% career to 8% this year. Expected ERA of 3.8, expected FIP of 3.6, all career best, called strike plus whiff north of 30%, also a career best. Pitching models, pitch modeling metrics, 108 pitching plus, 405 body ERA, also career best. Previous bests were 101 and 490. So across the board, Edward Cabrera finally living up to the potential this year. And also he keeps the ball on the ground. He has about a 49% ground ball rate too. So above average strikeout rate, above average ground ball rate, and now the walk rate has finally improved to above average as well. You really couldn't ask for anything more from a base level from a starting pitcher. I think he has a very high floor going forward. I don't know if he has that ace upside that we once thought, but I do think he is a very effective starter. And I think teams would absolutely clamor to be able to get him under T control through 2028. But yeah, Palante, can he keep the ball on the ground? I'm hoping. I make this total about 7.7. I like the under down to 8 at minus 105. I took 8.5 last night. And it seems like the Cardinals are going into seller mode a little bit here. Brendan Donovan getting shopped. We'll see if Arenado ends up getting shopped. I think he might have a no trade clause. But yeah, Cardinals trending towards sellers a little bit. And Helsley would be probably the best reliever on the market if that became the case.
Another under that you're targeting with a team that's banged up, the Astros and the Nats. The Nats sending Brad Lord to the bump here, and a great find by the Nationals front office, an 18th round draft pick. He's been effective as a reliever, and they just used him as an opener last week against the Reds. He went ahead and pitched 4 innings. He scattered 6 hits, only gave up a single run. How much are you looking for from Lord specifically? Because I can safely assume we're going to get a gem out of Framber Valdez tonight against this Washington lineup.
Yeah, I'd hope so from Fromber because kind of need that in order to keep this game under 7.5. I don't really foresee the Nationals keeping the Astros beneath 3 or 4 runs. So I would hope that Fromber pitches well tonight so we can stay under 7.5. I make this total about 7. You can bet under 7.5 to minus 112. This mostly just comes down to the Astros offensive splits. Lord, a right-handed starter. Hope he's out there 4 or 5 innings. Hope the Nationals do not feed the Astros right-handed bats too many left-handed pitchers because the Astros have that huge offensive split that we've alluded to a bunch of times this season. Second against left-handed pitching, 15% better than the major league average. 18th against right-handed pitching, just that, the major league average. So Astros against the righty, continue to bet unders or bet against them. The Astros against a lefty, continue to bet overs or pass on the total or bet the Astros. I'm actually close to betting the Nationals here as well. I make the Nationals about plus 190. Market currently at plus 210, which is my cutoff point. I would need to see lineups before firing at that number. If it moved up to plus 220 or plus 225, I'll end up adding a bet on Washington's money line as well, even before seeing lineups. I talked about it, but the Astros missing Jordan, Jeremy Pena, Isaac Paredes, Jake Myers, Brendan Rodgers, plus other depth, Lance McCullers, Brandon Walter, Wisniewski, Javier, Franco, Blanco, Arrighetti. Like this team is the walking wounded. And they've had so much luck and been so amazing over the past decade plus at consistently making the ALCS. If they're missing these dudes, this team is going to do nothing in the playoffs. And if they're missing these dudes and these dudes don't start coming back, they could miss the playoffs. I'm dead serious about this. I know they're 4 games up in their division right now, but that's on 2 teams. I think the Rangers and the Mariners could close them down. So yeah, I'm going to run some math today. I really want to dive deep into the remaining schedules for the Yankees and the Astros, compare them, because there's 7 spots for 6 teams. I think somebody's missing. It could be Texas, could be Seattle. But given the injury news and the injury prospects for the Yankees and Astros right now, I think those teams are both super vulnerable. And if anybody's going to fall back in the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to be one of those 2 teams.
Let's stay in the AL West for your last play on your card. Over 8 between the Rangers and the Halos. The wind blowing straight out
Yeah.
to dead center in Anaheim. And you got a tin can pitching for the Angels, who actually went to a high school about 20 minutes from where I'm recording at this very moment. Shout out Harrison High School in Bryn Mawr. Jack Kohanowitz is massive at 6'7". He's a ground ball pitcher. That's been the theme of this episode. The problem is he wants to use that sinker early and often. He just cannot locate it to save his life this season. The pitch continues to stay up in the strike zone. It's the reason why batters have taken it deep 8 times on that single pitch already this season. Texas should feast on him in this one. And that's why I'm a bit confused that this number's so low. I get that we get Jacob deGrom on the bump
Yeah.
for the Rangers, but he's been on a short leash for much of this season. You figure he's going to throw 85, 90, maybe max 95 pitches in this game. So it's not just him going up against this Halos lineup. I could see 6 or 7 runs out of Texas on their own. And then once they get into the bullpen, maybe the Angels doing a little bit of work to push this over 8. How high would you go up? Would you go to 8.5 to get a better price number? Where does your metrics and your model say that this one should land?
Yeah, I make this about 8.8. So 8.5 at even money, 8.5 minus 105, both fine for me. That wouldn't go much above that. These offenses both rank in the bottom 10 on the year, but over the past 30 days, both in the top 10. Angels, 9th last 30 days. Texas is running a 120 WRC plus since the All-Star break. So it seems like this Texas team is finally awakened. We have a lot of preseason bets on the Rangers that I wrote off as being dead essentially at the All-Star break prior to this 9-game winning streak. They're very much back in the hunt. I still do not like their roster as much as I like Seattle's or as much as I like even Detroit's, but they're in the mix. And given the health of the roster right now, this is the hottest they've been all season. This is probably the best baseball they've played all year. So I don't trust their bullpen still. I don't trust the Angels bullpen at all either. Angels 27th in expected FIP, 26 strikeout minus walk. Last 30 days, 25th, 22nd. Texas is about league average over both splits. About 16, 17, 18, 19th. Like either, those 4 stats I just listed out for the Angels. Texas is closer to 16th to 20th. The Angels are a clear bottom 3 bullpen. The Angels, though, also a bottom 3 defensive team as well. Just absolutely miserable defensively. And DeGrom, you talked about the wind going out, Mike. DeGrom, later in his career, the home run rate has gone up. He's just giving up the long ball more consistently. It's a very similar progression to what Max Scherzer did later in his career, where as the velocity dips, as the stuff and the command starts to get a little bit worse, you're still trying to challenge hitters, but you don't get away with the mistakes nearly as much as you used to. And his final year in Queens, DeGrom allowed about 1.3 homers per 9. This year, it is north of 1. At his peak, he was closer to 0.8, 0.7, 0.6. Like, unbelievably difficult to get a home run off of him. It's nearly doubled the home run rate in the past 2 seasons where he started more than 10 games. So I think the Angels, who are 4th in homers, can absolutely hit some dingers off DeGrom tonight. And if that is the case, the over is too low. I make this, as I said, about 8.75, over 8.5 to even money. And I just added one more bet in here this morning. The Cubs and the Brewers under 8. I like down to 7.5 at minus 102 with the Miz going against Matt Boyd. Pre-umpire, but that was the last total that came into range for me this morning. So Cubs and Brewers under 8 down to 7.5 at -102, and then the Rangers and Angels over up to 8.5 at even money. The final two totals for me on the board today.
Grant Neiffer has been patiently hacking away in the on deck circle. It's time for him to dig in and give us his dingers here for Monday.
All right, thanks, guys. Got a three-leg dinger parlay. Can get around 125 to 1 odds, depending on where you're betting it at. But let's just get right into it. First off, Marte sitting at around plus 400 to plus 425. Gets a matchup versus Melton today. Melton, we don't have a huge sample size of in the majors, but grades out as an above average matchup for lefty power. Weather over in Detroit, not terrible. Near 90 degrees, but winds blowing in about 8 miles per hour. Have it as slightly above average hitting weather to average hitting weather. So Marte, who has had 56 home runs since the beginning of last season in around 210 games, great underlying numbers this season with a career high barrel rate. Everything is going great for him, and the odds here are just a bit too high. Next up, we got Jackson Holiday sitting at around plus 550, plus 525. Gets a matchup versus Bassett. Bassett has been better this season with lefty power, but still allowing above average 1.3 home runs per nine to lefties this season, and has been one of the best matchups for lefty power over the last two seasons. The weather over in Baltimore is great today. Mid 90 temps, decent humidity, ball should be flying in what is already one of the best, if not the best, ballpark in the league for lefty power. Holiday likely leading off here, so should get five at bats in this spot. Really like him. And lastly, shouldn't even have to explain anything about this guy. Nicholas Kurtz plus 275. Gets a matchup versus Castillo. Castillo has been an above average matchup for lefty power in his career, giving up around 1.36 home runs per nine. And this season, only sitting at 1.01, but the home run to fly ball rate due for some negative regression. Should be closer to 10%. Should be giving up around his career average amount of home runs. Plus, he plays in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark at home. So if we regress that in there, should be right around his average, which is a plus. Kurtz, one of the best home run hitters in the league since coming into the league, and over the last month, just absolutely destroying it. Weather over in Sacramento. Sean already mentioned it. Great for hitting today. Wind blowing out at 8 miles per hour. Temps near 90 during game time. Ball should be flying in
Recording
Kurtz.
stopped.
Sorry. Uh, what? Just all right. Yeah, that should do it. 125 to 1. I'm out of here.
That'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch Live. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets that you heard in today's episode from Sean or Grant, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget, as always, to download the free award-winning Action Network app and leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out the Action Network Discord to cut it up with Major League Baseball betting enthusiasts at all times, 24 hours a day. It never closes. Rain, sleet, doesn't matter. Baseball may get a game canceled, but they're going to be continuing to bet it on a daily basis. There's a link in the episode description of this podcast to sign up for that as well. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Payoff Pitch. It'll be Sean, Colin Whitchurch, and myself. For Sean Zerillo and Grant Neiffer, I'm Mike Calabrese. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. And as always, best of luck with all your bets.